Today I'm going to be showing you how to sew Fluff, the titular character from my book, A Day in the Life of a Duck Named Fluff. I've created this cut and sew pattern that creates a three-dimensional duck plush. It takes about 30 to 40 minutes to make. Let's get started. The first thing you'll want to do after getting your cut and sew pattern in the mail is spread it out and read the instructions. I did the best I could, so hopefully they're not too confusing. Next, you'll want to iron it. Make sure your iron is on the cotton setting, if you ordered cotton, and get both sides. It's important to make sure your iron and surface are clean prior to doing this so you don't end up staining your duck. After that, it's time to cut. You can separate into easier to manage pieces and then cut, but if you're a quilter, you may want the pieces in between. Make sure to put your instructions aside somewhere for reference. I'm going to show you briefly how the pieces are oriented so you can visualize how you will sew it. All pieces will be right side to right side, meaning the printed side will face itself. The first thing we will sew is the bill, which we will sew all edges except the flat edge. This is because we want to flip the bill inside out, stuff it separately, and sew it to the duck head so it sticks out independent from the duck. This is so we can have that nice duckbill shape. The next thing we will sew is the belly. There are green and yellow dots on either end of the belly on the seam allowance so you can see where they meet up on the side of the body. We're going to sew up the duck so it has a flat bottom, so the duck will stand up on its own and be a bit three-dimensional. Envision it like how a football is constructed, except we are only going to be using 3 pieces. Remember, the print should always be facing itself. If you have any of the white or wrong side facing any printed side, then it's not correct. I failed to hit record while sewing the bill, but I sewed around all the sides except the flat side. Before I flip it inside out, I'm going to trim down the seam and then clip the curve so it doesn't pucker as much. After that, I flip it inside out. I have small fingers, but I still use my scissors to poke out the seams. Just be careful not to push too hard or you may rip your seams or your fabric. After that, I start stuffing it. You want to make sure that you get it packed nicely, but you're still able to pinch the flat end shut. When we have enough stuffing, we're going to pinch together the edges opposite to how we sewed it. This creates that three-dimensional duckbill shape. Pin or clip together your edges, then sew it shut. I struggle with feeding the bill stuffed through the machine sometimes, so feel free to remove some stuffing if that seems to be the case. There's plenty of room on the seam allowance for error, so feel free to start further out and work your way in if that's easier. I just started doing this, so unfortunately it's not in the written instructions, but I find it helps you keep things in place a lot better. You can attach your bill to one of the body panels now to hold it in place since you'll eventually be sewing the body panels together. Remember, right sides facing each other, so the bill will be inside the head. Remember the nostrils go on top too. It sounds funny, but when you flip it inside out, it will be right. My apologies for the poor video because I didn't realize that you couldn't see much of what I was doing, but your next step will be to attach the body and belly panels. Pin the bottom of your body panel to the side of your belly panel, taking care to match up where the green and yellow dots are. Sew across the belly panel. You may want to do a reverse stitch at the front and back so you don't accidentally pull it apart later. Do the same for the other panel. You should have the belly attached to 2 body panels. Once that is done, you can line up the body panels to one another and start sewing around the whole thing. I start at the butt and sew a little around the tail so I have an area where the stuffing will get caught when I flip it. Then just go all the way around the entire back, neck, head, and chest until you meet your sewing machine to the belly stitch you did. You may want to intersect it a little so you don't get any gaps. If you mess up and show too much of the margin, just go over it again. I messed up where the bill was attached to the head, so I went over it a few more times. Now it's time to trim your seams. Clip your curves and flip it inside out. This will be easier than the bill because you can grab the bill to pull out most of the head. You can use blunt scissors to gently push the seams out or a pencil. Time to stuff! Push stuffing inside and guide it into the head and neck so the neck stays upright. Again, you can use blunt scissors or a pencil to get it in there. I try to push as much stuffing towards the front as I can, so then I'm leaving space to sew up the butt and tail. Still, I try to put a little tuft up at the point because it will be hard to guide stuffing into it later after I sew it. When I sew it shut, I just zip through it on the machine, but you may want to hand sew it for a more hidden and professional seam. After that, I squish the stuffing around to make sure it's distributed across the duck. And there you have it, a duck plush. If you're interested in picking up this cut and sew duck pattern the way that you saw it in the video today, check out the link in the description.